How do you do? The Box Office Pulp Board feels it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We're about to unfold a cinematic commentary track, made by a group of men who sought to create a podcast after their own ravings, without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with three great mysteries of the internet: analysis, observation, and deconstruction. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel you'd not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to... well, we've warned you. Now, to pause and refresh. For your convenience, we have an attractive refreshment stand in the lobby, with buttered popcorn, golden good and hot from the popper, your favorite candies, wholesome and rich, plus delicious Dr. Pepper, so bright and bracing with a tang and tingle unmatched by any other beverage. Enjoy an ice-cold Dr. Pepper at our beverage stand right now, and then return to fully appreciate this bop and a movie commentary track. Enjoy.
What did you say this room was called?
Sacrificial chamber.
And I assume the audio's good.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
Hey. That's the attitude we want on this show. Fuck it.
Box Office Pulp. Is
that our new sign-off?
Get out of my office!
We made like 8 different sign-offs over the last 2 weeks, but I think Box Office Pulp might be my...
I still want us to now and forever end every episode with, and there's the beans.
And there's the beans.
Becomes our enjoy your burrito.
Cody just wrote a reminder.
I did. I had to put it at the end of my script.
Oh, thank God.
You don't want to go in cold on the beans? What if I stumble over it? We have to do a second take.
You're cold beans, kid. You don't got the hustle in you.
I will say I actually enjoy beans out of a can, cold beans out of a can, thoroughly. You get Bush's baked beans cold, just open the can, and sometimes you just don't feel like fucking heating up the can. You just grab a spoon and you go hog on it. You go hog on the beans.
Hog and the beans.
Hog on
the start the fucking commentary.
Bluegrass album.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Box Office Pulp, your one-stop podcast for movies, madness, moxie, and tonight, monster mashups. In celebration of Godzilla stomping back into American theaters in Godzilla, King of the Monsters, the Bop crew wanted to revisit some of the other notorious Monster v. Monster films out there. So the Bop in a Movie series is back as we try to determine who the meanest extraterrestrial in the Antarctic is. That's right. Tonight, we're doing a commentary for the one and only, if you ignore the sequel, Alien vs. Predator. And not just the regular AVP, but the unrated AVP. Now with what I think is 3 extra seconds of gore. I'm your host, Cody, and joining me for this battle royale is Mike, hailing from the hot and humid homeworld of the... One second, I have to look up how to pronounce this because I've already forgotten. Yautja. Thanks, Internet.
Distant, echoey clicking.
And in the other corner, created by a mad android working amongst the tomb of mankind's gods, is Jamie. Say hello, Jamie.
I'm actually the oldest artifact of the 2000s, a spiky-haired action chick.
They live. So, folks, if you haven't watched one of our commentary series before, it's exactly like what it sounds. We're going to watch Alien vs. Predator and comment over the movie. It's your life, so you're welcome to listen to us as a giant podcast for the next hour and a half, or you could pop the movie in when we do our countdown and actually watch the film along with us. I know, it's like we're doing a director's commentary, only we're not on the disc because they didn't invite us. But before we get to the actual countdown and the watching of the film, let's break down Bob's official drink for the evening. The Hot Mango Mamacita.
Jesus.
I like how when you do name these, you leave it all on the field.
I can't take credit for naming this one. I found it in a tiki book. I folks at home,
but I recently decided it's summer. I wanted to get into tiki drinks. So I bought myself a Creature from the Black Lagoon glazed ceramic tiki mug and a book on tiki drinks. This was one of the recipes that caught my eye. So to start,
other people learn languages. You decide to get really into tikis.
yeah. I mean, what else am I going to do with all the rum in my house? So, for this one, folks, you're going to need to do way too much prep work. So let's start off with the hot mango puree you need to start with. 1, get yourself a jalapeno pepper, 2 cups of diced mangoes, a ½ ounce of sriracha sauce, 1.5 ounces of lime juice, 1.5 ounces of water, and 1.5 ounces of agave nectar. You're going to want to chop the jalapeno up, add it to a blender with the seeds for a little bit of extra heat, then toss in the mango, the sriracha, the lime juice, the water, and the nectar. Blend all that up until it's real smooth. You're going to get about 2.5 cups of this puree. You can use it on chips. You can use it in your tiki drinks. It's all purpose. You can just slather it on yourself and scare away your neighbors. Start with that. We're going to need 3 ounces of the hot mango puree. Next, you could just get normal lemonade, but let's make this more complicated and make the specific lemonade mentioned in the book. Start off with a gallon of warm water. Then add 1/2 cup to 1 cup to taste of agave nectar. Then take 6 lemons, roll them on your countertop, cut them open, and squeeze them into this gallon of water. Let that chill an hour at least. For the rest of the drink, you're going to need 2 ounces of silver tequila, and ½ ounce of Cointreau, 1/4 ounce of lime juice, salt if you want to rim your glass and get extra fancy, and a lime wedge for a garnish. So take a pint glass, add the tequila, the Cointreau, the lime juice, and the hot mango puree. Transfer that over to a shaker, shake for 5 seconds. Then, if you're salting the rim of your glass, this is the time to do it. Pour the drink back into the glass and top with lemonade. Garnish that with a lime wedge. I found very fancy ice makers, so I've got these little tiny ice cubes. I don't know if the mic is picking that up, but I feel very fancy having those in my drink. You can also just do crushed ice. That's your prerogative. So anyways, yes.
I like the idea of using something as fancy as that, as the ice cube maker for the tiki drink.
It's just a silicon tray, but they're very, very tiny ice cubes. Like they're smaller than your pinky nail. I don't have a fancy fridge with a crushed ice maker, so you gotta make do. Anyways, this recipe came from Lynn Calvo's Tiki with a Twist. Since this movie takes place in a frozen wasteland, I wanted something chilled with lots of ice, but we're also dealing with 2 warring alien races, so I wanted something that ran in 2 different directions, which in this case is the sweetness of the lemonade and the mango against the heat of the jalapeno and the puree. And maybe the most important reason I want this recipe, though, is that I get a kick out of going to way too much trouble to make a drink for what is a simple beat-em-up movie, which is kind of like how the movie itself took way too much time to come together. Pretty much any versus movie takes way too long to come together. So, folks, hopefully you have paused the movie and wasted 2 hours of your life making this drink, and you can now sip it with me. Let's see what it tastes like. Ooh, that is nice. That's a lot of mango.
Thank
I should put a
God.
little bit more jalapeno.
I was really hoping it was going to burn through the walls of your body like acid.
Oh.
I like very spicy drinks. I'm the kind of guy who put a habanero inside of his vodka just for the extra kick. So one jalapeno doesn't quite do it.
Now,
This
folks,
is tasty though.
Now, folks, my lovely, lovely people, folks at home, what I want you to do is, it's too hot out. It's summertime. It's beginning. You haven't quite adjusted the heat yet. What I want you to do is don't go for a drive. Just don't. What I want you to do is I want you to make a couple of these. I want you to start downing them just one after another with a family outing, you and your kid out by the pool. And I want you to get progressively drunker and while your kid's playing, and maybe you just forget to watch.
Sorry, I was really thinking this was going to go in the direction of like that time I woke up covered in sloppy Joe at a neighbor's house. But we went dark with it, and that's fine too. There's room for those
I would
stories out
argue
there.
yours is dark, just in a different way.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe equally as dark, honestly.
For once, this story actually didn't happen to me. I did not wake up covered in sloppy Joe mess. Although I have woken up on a stranger's playground once, so, these things happen.
Anyway, we do not need to delve deeper into you waking up on a playground.
Well, it wasn't
A
like
stranger's
a
playground.
It was like a neighbor's backyard playground.
I feel like that's worse. It's private
That's-
property.
yeah.
It's trespassing.
There wasn't a gate or a fence.
What do you?
If only they had locked the door, I could have been stopped.
I left you all the clues, Mr. Policeman.
I was about to say you sound like Harry Hole, like waking up in the fucking in the park at the beginning of the movie.
It is my destiny to battle the snowman. I live in Minnesota. That's like 8 months of my year just battling the snowman.
That is true, yeah.
All right, we've wasted enough time talking about making drinks and getting blackout drunk. Let's start watching some AVP. Mike, do you want to count us down?
1, 2, 3.
Hey, give us those aliens.
And then Predators.
Also those.
I just hope the player holds up for us. We're having technical difficulties tonight, folks, but you don't need to know
Don't
that.
reveal the curtain, Mike. That's my job. So, folks at home who have never paid attention to Alien vs. Predator, this film was directed by Paul W. Anderson of Mortal Kombat and Resident Evil fame. He also did the screenplay. The cast includes Sanna Lathan, Raul Bova, Lance Henriksen, Tommy Flanagan, Tom Woodruff Jr., and some other folks.
I like the idea of you talking about AVP like it's some kind of pop culture phenomenon, like the elderly have turned their back on.
They have. They no longer care about the intergalactic battle that controls this country's fate. I want to back up for a second. Tom Woodruff Jr., he plays in this movie the Grid Alien, which is kind of a surprise. Like, who thinks of the Grid Alien needing an actor? But there is a guy in a suit in this movie. In parts, there's also a lot of CGI. But Woodruff Jr. Is an actor, he's a director, he's a special effects guru. He's worked on Death Becomes Her, Alien 3, Tremors, The Santa Claus, Starship Troopers, Alien Resurrection, Castaway, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. He even played the Gillman in Monster Squad. So this guy is seeing things. And on the other side, we have Ian White, who plays the Scar Predator and pretty much all the Predators. They wanted to use this guy for all the Predators, but they couldn't because, he's one man. But you've seen this dude in a lot of other roles, but you probably didn't recognize him because he's always underneath tons of prosthetics. He played 1-1 in Game of Thrones, along with a bunch of other characters like a White Walker in seasons 1 and 2, and he even played the Mountain in season 2 and got some speaking lines.
He was the other Scab Mountain?
Yes, there were like 3 different mountains. He was one of the middle ones.
Oh, he was just a dude mountain?
He played the wolf in the sequel to this movie, and he was the last engineer we see in Prometheus. Plus, he's also some alien named Bali Prindel in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So he probably has his own action figure out there.
Hey.
If you need a 7-foot-tall background creature, you've probably hired this man. What else do we got? We've got music by Harold Closer, who became Roland Emmerich's go-to guy for all of his scores for every movie after The Day After Tomorrow, and including The Day After Tomorrow. Cinematography by David Johnson. Edited by Alexander Berner. Released August 13th, 2004 on a $60 million budget. Worldwide gross was $172.5 million. Alien vs. Predator made pretty good money. We do not talk about Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
No, we're here tonight to be happy, not sad.
Can I just say how much I miss 90s sci-fi movies, opening with gigantic satellites in the desert and cutting to scientists, quirky, ragtag scientists that we will never see again, receiving a strange transmission.
These men don't matter. That's one thing that kind of bothers me about versus movies. They always take a very long time to get to the action. They have to do, I think this movie is something like 40 minutes before they really get rolling. These are only hour-and-a-half long movies. They're probably not going to get sequels. Just go for it, guys. Make the first fucking scene in Alien vs. Predator fight. I'm down for it. That's what I paid for.
That's the sad thing of Anderson really wanted to try, really respected and wanted to keep the slow burn of Alien and Predator intact. Except it's a versus movie. We just want to see aliens and predators fight.
Versus movies really operate on separate rules from, I would say, most other movies. It's a
true.
fascinating subgenre. So, longtime listeners know I have a huge hangup about watching seasonally inappropriate films. In my mind, you don't watch Jaws in January or A Christmas Story in July. So, AVP is a very cold movie. In my mind, this is a January flick all the way through. So, you're welcome for watching this in May to prepare for Godzilla. I am sacrificing so much for you guys. I want to say I paid the price for this, though. We're recording this right now over Memorial Day weekend. The weekend I watched this, like last weekend to make my notes and stuff, it was 77 degrees, and then the next day it dropped to 40, and there was a serious chance of snow. Like an hour north of me, they got an inch or two of snow. This movie cursed the weather.
I think it's important to point out it takes place in Antarctica. It could take place during the summer.
Look,
Look
it's
at this
hot
right now. This scene, heat.
Heat. This is fine. If this was the whole movie, I'd be like, this is a May movie.
Yeah, where's our desert Alien versus Predator?
Oddly enough, that's one of the few spots we haven't seen the Predator invade yet, right? We've gone jungle, suburb, alien planet that's also jungle, the city, the concrete jungle, as they would like to have you know it,
And the suburbs again.
suburbs again, the Antarctic. Yeah, we haven't had them like out in the desert. Although I imagine that might be difficult to have like guys in suits running through sand dunes. They would just die.
I don't think we need to kill the actors. It's not worth it.
They would just sweat to death.
See, I would love to see an Alien movie set in the desert, because where the fuck would they hide?
They wait till night and then they just pop out of the sand.
That would be an
Just becomes
amazing
pitch black.
fucking Riddick and Alien crossover. Fighting xenomorphs at night in the desert.
Actually, I would watch that. That'd be a cool versus movie.
That would be fucking amazing. Can we pitch that officially to Disney? Disney owns this shit now.
Quick, get on Twitter. Vin Diesel, I'm sure, will fight for this.
I'm sure Vin Diesel would be up for fighting anything, anytime.
I mean, if you think of the structure of the standard versus movies, it's pretty much, hey, we have Monster 1 that people like, we have Monster 2 that people like, but we can't have any side win because that means we're pissing off half of our fan base or half of our production team. So they have to introduce like a human middleman character who ends up saving the day. Why not just put Riddick in there? We all know Riddick's going to win, but this gives him a fun challenge.
Exactly.
And he's a beast of a man, so he counts as one of the monsters.
That's pretty much every Riddick movie right there. This is perfect. I think, spoiler, I think they killed Dave Bautista off in the last Riddick movie. I was going to say, otherwise, just imagine if we had him back. We've got Bautista, we've got Vin Diesel, we've got Predators. It's everything you want.
That's the name. We've got Predators. That would be a box office smash. So, thinking back to the aborted Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, isn't it weird how snow is a big recurring factor in versus films? Isn't it the go-to location?
In typical, these movies typically never had time to go into the snow, so I think that's kind of their fun hook. Instead of it just being, hey, it's two characters fighting, they can also say, but also it's winter.
I think across the board, the like dream horror stuff is just like the frontier is snow. Like, oh, horror taking place in the snow. That's like a horror movie Valhalla that cannot be reached for some goddamn reason.
You get
Snow is expensive.
Like someone gets slashed with a machete and it's snowy out, you get blood on the white snow. The contrast is pure.
Plus, it's just cool to watch people fight in the snow. I mean, the big Avengers fight, three-way fight scene in the middle of that movie is in the snow.
Although it would be a little odd if you did a horror movie all in the snow, like a Friday the 13th. It kind of gets away from what the original was doing, where, hey, it's warm out. We can just have these teens have sex in the woods. Like, if you did that in a movie in Wisconsin in January, those teens would die of hypothermia after, like, 3 minutes of humping.
That just makes it dirtier. They're so horny, they don't care that they're going to fucking die.
We're gonna polar plunge this.
Uh,
Maybe you're right, Mike. Maybe you're right. Um, God. So going back to the idea of how versus films are different from normal films, it's not about creating, I think, a satisfying arc in the same way that like a Godfather film is about. It's trying to find a satisfying way to give screen time to two different rabid fan bases. The Alien fans want to see the aliens do their stuff. They want to see face huggers. They want to see chest bursters. They want to see acid blood. The Predator fans want to see the invisibility. They want to see people hung up from trees, their spines removed. You got to find a way so everyone feels like they got what they wanted. It's all about fan service with these films, which is unusual because typically I roll my eyes at those. But if a fan film or a versus film doesn't have the fan service, what's the point? You might as well just make a straight up entry in the film series. To this end, if you actually pop in the Blu-ray for Alien vs. Predator, there is a trivia track you can play along with the film that explores the nerdiest, deep canon lore that's not even supported by any of the films. Like, this is stuff dredged from the Dark Horse comics. Here's one that I wrote down randomly. Predators have named the xenomorphs. Apparently, the English translation is hard meat. There's a trivia track you can pop in on the Blu-ray that will tell you that. The Predators call xenomorphs hard meat. Nowhere in the movies will you see anything that supports that, but that is a thing that the commentary track will let you know is real. And only hardcore fans of the series would bother watching something like that. It's also funny because that commentary track has information that doesn't agree with other information. So the person writing it had to qualify it by like, this doesn't necessarily add up to what we know so far. Look into further. Like someone's writing a dialogue journal.
Is it Rorschach's commentary?
A little bit. They also are eating beans while doing this. All right, so we've kind of skipped over something important here. We just had Lance Henriksen appear in this film as the Peter Weyland. Obviously, I mean, if you've watched the Alien films, the Weyland Corporation is the driving bad guy for all of the films. It's a staple in the Alien universe. Does this really line up with the fact that Lance Henriksen appears in Alien 3 and tries to pass himself off as human? No, not at all, but it's fun. Like, if you're doing a fan service movie and you don't get some of the heralded stars from the previous films, you've probably made a mistake.
I like the idea that Bishop was that goddamn important. He had to be fashioned after the boss man.
Right, they did Ash first. Like, we don't want the demo one to be the boss man. We want to work our way into this. This would be a legacy design.
It was one of the cooler moves this movie made, I think, trying to plug Bishop history into it. Plus, you just get Henriksen. That's genius.
I mean, if you can get Henriksen, get Henriksen. It's a little weird, though. If you think about this, at the time this was made, this served really as a functional film in both series. Like, it didn't break the canon too much for either one.
Yeah.
Now with Prometheus, this doesn't really
fit in. This is
out
of continuity now, yeah.
Right. And the Predator, I don't think really jives with this all that much either. So the later sequels have kind of tossed this out and made it its own island. But at the time, this could have been the last Alien movie or the last Predator movie, and it would have fit in just fine. This would have been a vital part of both franchises somehow.
I will say the xenomorph skull is still at the end of Predator 2, which does not contradict continuity. So, wait. Goddamn, yeah, because David created this. God, it's very important to me that Predator be, specifically Predator 2, be the prequel to Blade Runner.
I think this is what we need to accept, though. Just, there's Predator, there's Predator 2, there's Alien vs. Predator, there's Alien vs. Predator Requiem, there's Soldier, and then there's Blade Runner. Like, all of those are in, like, their own universe, and Blade Runner weirdly takes place in two different universes. Like, it takes place in the Alien Prime universe, where Alien versus Predator doesn't exist and Predators don't exist, and they never interact. Also, Blade Runner exists in the Predator universe where xenomorphs do exist and interact with the predators.
I've gone cross-eyed.
This is why people go crazy.
Like you using comic book company logic on that.
You know that fucking scene in Thor Dark World where Selvig is shoeless and explaining alternate universes and shit to nobody? Yeah, that's what I just did.
That's how I felt just viewing that trivia track I was talking about before. Like, having to watch that appear on the screen made me feel like I was guilty by association of some deep, deep fanboy wankery.
This is a very nerdy movie.
Wankery.
Yes. Oddly enough, when this came out in theaters, I was like the prime person that they would want in theaters. I was all about this, very excited. I loved horror movies. I loved Alien. I loved Predator. I didn't see this in theaters. Like, for some reason, I just couldn't get to the theater to see it. I had to like bug my friends who saw it to give me the rundown of everything that happened. They had to like at lunch just walk the whole plot out for me so I could imagine it, which wasn't enough. They did a terrible job describing the movie. So I had to go and find like a really shitty pirated version off of like Kazam or Shazam or whatever the pirate service tool of the day was.
I feel like everybody's first time watching Alien versus Predator was pirated.
The copy I had was filmed terribly. Like, the guy filming it had his camcorder out, but he was shaking the whole time. The people in front of him were talking. The guy in front of him actually took up half the screen. And the guy behind him who's filming was just too nervous, apparently, to move the camera into a proper position.
And he still distributed it. I admire that.
It's like, I went to the trouble here. I could have gone to prison. Interpol would have been after me. I'm uploading this. I've done the deed.
I've done the deed.
Now, if you look at a lot of versus films, they typically get heat because the fanboys feel, hey, this fell too much to one side of the film universe instead of the other. Like, Freddy versus Jason gets shit on because Freddy gets one kill. So it turns out like it feels almost more like a Friday the 13th movie than a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. How do you guys feel about the balance on AVP? Does this feel like it's too Alien? Does it feel like it's too Predator?
Personally, I feel like it's a good 50-50.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The only spot that gets me is the fact that the one alien wipes out two of the three predators in like a 5-minute stretch, which is a little funky to me. It feels like it kind of sets it up for the alien.
They were just really, really bad at their job.
Well, I think they kind of justified enough story-wise since they're supposed to be young predators, like young predators on their first hunt, so they're inexperienced.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense.
Even in like Aliens, the power of the individual xenomorph was downgraded so they could fit in, an army narrative. If it was just one alien, it gets boring in an action film. But if you have hundreds of them, every grunt out there can blow up an alien, no problem. And I think
really
that's kind
no
of
consistency with the power of the xenomorph at all.
No, and especially in this movie, like if the xenomorph gets to you, you just instantly have a facehugger that develops into a chest burster in like 30 minutes here instead of days. Depending on the time of the movie, it's very inconsistent within the film's own mythology, which is kind of necessary to make the plot run. Like, it'd be weird if they're down in this Arctic temple for like a week while the parasites developed. We're already spending a lot of time just going over snowmobiles and, plans to go down into the ice.
This movie takes a while to get into the Alien versus Predator action, but you can't say that it's slow paced. It gets going.
Yeah, it is an hour and a half long. I mean, once they get to the aliens and predators, you get plenty of it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but my biggest gripe with this movie has always been it's so fast-paced, but also so short. It doesn't quite smooth out. It kind of feels like going at 100 miles per hour off a very short pier.
Yeah.
Yes. And part of the problem for me is I honestly don't give a shit about any of the human characters. Part of that is my expectation. I'm going in for an Alien vs. Predator movie. I am there for the alien, I am there for the predator. Every human being is just fodder in the way, so I don't need to spend any time getting to know the Scottish guy with a family back home who sucks at taking pictures.
Yeah,
But
the cast a little too
In a
big.
Brexit movie, they gotta build those characters up. Because, I mean, again, they're going to be the ones to resolve the conflict in the end. It's going to be one of these human characters that truly wins the versus battle, even though it's an AVP.
Well, I feel like there's a weird trade-off there because Lex is a very cool protagonist, especially with the way they play her as both your prototypical Ellen Ripley alien protagonist while simultaneously being Dutch. Like, I think that's a really cool thing that they're able to pull off. But the trade-off is she and Wayland are the only characters in this movie. Everyone else is a red shirt with some
Bingo.
affectations thrown onto them.
Right? And they have Tommy Flanagan in this movie, which is such a waste. Like, that guy's got talent. And they don't use him for anything, really. There's a lot of guys in this cast who are great kind of B-level character actors who don't get a whole lot to do, honestly, and that kind of bums me out.
Yeah.
And we get a ton of screen time spent on Professor Sebastian De Rosa, the Italian architect, who somehow feels like he's just dropped in from a different movie and none of his lines are recorded live. There's something about that character I can't stand. Like, it just feels like the character himself is somehow overdubbed into the movie.
Feels like a character from a direct-to-video, like, sci-fi channel movie. Where he'd still be a red shirt.
They put so much care into that character. Like, they give him the backstory with the bottle cap and all that bullshit. They want us to care. They gave an effort. They just weren't able to prop him up in a way that's mattered to me.
Well, it's the classic quick screenwriting problem of backstory equals care, and that's just more affectations. Look, the best comparison naturally for AVP would be Aliens, which all those Marines are just archetypes, like they're just personality, but they stand out and are classic and feel full because they don't try to cram in backstory into stuff. And also, the movie is like 2.5 hours long versus an hour and a half.
But James Cameron
team up.
James Cameron is the master at that, though. Like, even in Avatar, it's the same deal. You basically have stock characters that he manages to make feel like people you're kind of interested in spending time with, even though you really don't get any background on them or much story.
And what's funny is Anderson's had proved he's actually good at that in the past.
Give me Johnny Cage.
Exactly. God damn it.
All right. I've said a lot of negative things so far, but I do want to mention I love this set. Like, not the specific set, this one's fine. The whole abandoned, frost-covered whaling camp.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool idea. Like, you could have a whole horror movie that's set here, and it would be beautiful and exciting. There's so much you can do with it. It's spooky, it's eerie, it looks creepy as hell. It's a little bit of a shame they waste this jump scare on a penguin, but this area is cool. The whale bones sticking out of the ground, all that shit is very neat. I half wish they would have saved the set and then just immediately shot another low-budget horror movie on it right after they finished with it.
All the set work in this film is very well done.
The production design is fantastic.
Yeah.
They really put a lot of effort and detail and love into all the settings.
This is like right at the very end before studios made it a mandate that can you just like even do the sets in CGI?
We'll have them stand in front of a green screen with like one prop in front of you, and we'll just put texture over you.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because Anderson's a director that is so infamous for his use of CGI, and this is the movie where he was like, "No, I'm not going to do a CGI xenomorphin predator unless I have to." Like, I think his like an exact quote he has was, "At the end of the day, a dude in a suit is always going to be more terrifying than anything you can rig up with even the most expensive CGI."
Well, yeah, and even look at this tunnel. Like, they built sections of this tunnel for people to go down, which is fantastic. Like, it really makes the tunnel set piece so much better that they have a physical tunnel that can fall down and tumble over and all that kind of stuff. Even the last scene we saw where they throw a flare down, it works so much better because there is, at least a tunnel that can start tumbling down. They didn't just totally CGI a flare going down a fake background.
Yeah. This is John Bruno doing the effects too. So this is like
Yeah.
top-notch shit.
I love that last image of the laser just carving a perfect hole through buildings and stuff as it goes down. Apparently, they were on one of the commentaries. They mentioned that the original version of this film just had like the laser boring down. They didn't show the predators firing it, and the studio forced them to go back in and add a special effects shot of the alien ship launching the laser to cut that hole because they didn't want audiences to be confused about who bore the hole down to the temple.
Oh, that's why that earlier scene's so awkward when this is already here.
Right. They had to throw that in like after filming, which is insane to me because like who the hell else was going down there?
Yeah.
We don't want to take God shot the laser.
That is the
that
plot.
giant hole bore from space. I wonder else who did that. Maybe it was people.
Remember, this is, it should be said, this is 20th Century Fox, circa 2004. This is prime beginning of mid-2000s Fox Studios.
The era of the Rothman.
I was about to say this was like Rothman doing weird shit. Like, hey, here's your Silver Surfer stuff. Let's see how we can mess that up.
Yeah, can you burn all of the makeup at the end of the day to make sure nobody knows that we're using practical effects? My favorite Rothman thing concerning this movie is, as like, there's no need to go into, like, there is a long history of Aliens versus Predator content coming from the original comic book in 1989. Rothman, in the lead up to this movie, swore that this was his idea, and he came up with it 2 years previous.
I am the first person to ever think the Alien and the Predator could fight, even though Predator 2 did end with a slight nod to the fact that these universes could coexist. And then there was a whole comic series based around that premise.
And then this was one of the greatest development hell projects of our lifetime.
Roland Emmerich
Yeah.
nearly made this fucking thing.
Peak Roland Emmerich, not like Day After Tomorrow Roland Emmerich.
Yeah. Fucking some people, some names like fucking wrote scripts for this thing.
Even Anderson himself, spent like 4 or 5 years developing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was one that did not go easy. Which cracks me up, because just imagine having to spend a fucking decade of your life developing Alien versus Predator.
I know.
Like just, hey, I love these franchises a lot. Can we make a movie where they punch each other? And then having to convince the studio over a period of 10 years that this was an okay idea.
That's
This having the legacy of Alien versus Predator.
But that is what makes the movie, I think, despite it, of course, not being exactly the best movie.
Like
It's
this.
pretty-
This is a very silly thing. Oh no, it's tarp hitter cables. I guess we're all going to die now.
Oh, it's silly
like,
and goofy, but you can tell Anderson's, Anderson, but it's made with such love and enjoyment for the material.
That's the hilarious thing about versus movies. They're fanboy films, which could easily be written off as, hey, it's two aliens punching each other for an hour and a half. Who gives a shit? We could have anyone come in and do this. But then they get people that care so much about these things and put all this love and effort into what other folks would just call schlock. I would say the same for Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
Even though that wasn't necessarily made by someone who deeply loved the franchise, it was someone who put way more effort into that movie probably required.
Yeah, that script got a prestige director. I do have to
schlock.
No. I do have to say, rewatching this, I did enjoy it considerably more than I did whenever it first came out, where I just kind of wrote it off as another Paul Anderson shit show.
Yeah.
I'll go as far as to say the first 45 minutes of this movie are quite good.
I think when this came out, the fan reaction wasn't great. And I was part of that. I definitely gave this movie way more shit than it deserved. I was part of the obnoxious people like Paul W.S. Anderson. Paul, what shit Anderson? Oh, dunked kind of people. And I felt terrible years later because you listen to the commentary track he recorded for this movie, and you can hear stuff like him reacting to how people saw the facehuggers. In a little bit here, we're going to get a scene where the facehuggers jump out, and there's a slow-mo matrix shot of the facehuggers jumping from their eggs onto people's faces. And Anderson on the commentary is like, I thought the shot was really neat. And then someone told me, man, you can't do that. It looked like flying pussies in the air in slow motion. It's terrible. And you just hear how sad he is when he talks about this. Like, he is all excited about this concept. And he wanted to show off stuff in perfect detail. And the fans told him he was an idiot. It's actually very sad. I feel like we've given this man a lot of hell over the years. And really all he's guilty of is trying to bring fanboy properties to the screen with a little bit of prestige.
Yeah.
He's the Guy Fieri of movies. He's living his goddamn best life, and we should support him. It's
no, go on.
I was gonna say it's a weird paradox because oddly the strength of this movie is the screenplay. Anderson wrote a good screenplay for an Alien vs. Predator movie. He just didn't direct a good movie of it. Like, if they'd given this to somebody else and not had the final rewrite by the dude that gave us Requiem, we might have really had something. That is very important to point out. This is not 100% Anderson's movie. This was last minute rewritten.
And even Alien vs. Predator Requiem, when that was going into production, the directors wanted to originally make that set in outer space. They wanted to have that be a giant space battle, more like the comics. And the studio said, nah, we've already got a treatment that puts it on Earth. Use that. Don't bother. Which I think cripples that movie because it's now stuck in a boring suburb with boring people that you kind of hate.
Yeah.
Requiem is so weird. It's a teen movie, but it's Alien vs. Predator.
Requiem is
Some
very
shots
strange.
are stunning. Like the light through the forest in that film is absolutely gorgeous. And then whenever they go into the sewer, you can't see jack shit. It's just so back and forth. It's hard to get a grasp on what the fuck is going on with that movie. One scene you might have something surprisingly good, and then the rest of the scenes will be trash.
Also, it should be said that when it comes to this movie, the production was not really afforded a lot of time and not as much money as you would think, considering the properties, and it was a big tentpole picture and all that. This fact it looks as expensive as it does is really impressive. And the reason
Case in point.
Yeah. And CGI in this movie, besides like when it's applied to the aliens moving around, is pretty good. Like all the holographic stuff is great.
So I love Anderson returning to the well of Event Horizon for one last scene.
And fuck, the practical effects work, like the puppetry work in this movie is fucking insane.
The thing I always remember here is when the alien queen comes to life, her wrists have to move a little bit to sell the illusion she's alive. You can see it moving right now. And boy, they're right. Like, that is so effective, just seeing that hand move around the way it does. It feels like, wow, this isn't a shitty puppet. This is amazing work. Honestly, it's really, really good. The alien practical effects in this movie are some of the best in the entire franchise.
And it's funny, you get to fucking the thing you wouldn't expect. You get to Alien Covenant by Ridley Scott and CGI Xenomorph is leaping around. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Whoop, whoop, whoop. So we've long since passed it, but this reminded me of one of my favorite moments upon revisiting this. The comic book science of them discovering the pyramid. My God, it has the features of all pyramids. It's some kind of ultimate pyramid. It must be the first. Which implies that ancient cultures took it upon themselves to learn one thing about that pyramid and then disperse amongst the earth.
Oh, going back to the special effects, if you ever get a chance, before John Bruno and his company were chosen for the effects, Steve Johnson's company went in and pitched it, and you can see concept art for their pitch of super radically different designed xenomorph stuff, and it was way too different, but Damn, those are some cool looking xenomorphs.
If you ever look at Nika's kind of what if designs for xenomorphs, they do all sorts of weird stuff like, oh, this is a gorilla xenomorph, and this one's like a giant grasshopper xenomorph. It's kind of neat in a what if sense. I don't know if I'd like to see them in a movie, but okay, this is a weird detail. I remember this being the thing that pissed me off more than anything else in the world when I first saw this movie. The spear is going straight. Like, how did the Predator throw that spear to hit that guy and drag him across the room and land him against that wall, considering the Predator's 7 feet tall? The angles don't line up!
He crouched.
That was like the weirdest nitpicky complaint I ever had. When I first saw this movie, that just stuck in my head. It was the thing I bitched about constantly. I don't know why that made me so mad, but it was like the one detail my mind latched onto and would not let go.
One thing I think I finally let go of with in regards to this movie are the Predator designs. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like the face design and stuff, but it bothered me so much of how giant they were and like top heavy. Now I finally kind of let it go. I mean, I still think body wise, the Predators in Predator 1 and 2 and whatnot are Predators and what are far better looking. These guys are just too wide and
yeah. I watched Predator 2 earlier this day, and it was amazing because the Predator there, the Kevin, I'm blanking on his name. But just the design of the Predator, you can tell like it's a very, very skinny guy in that suit. And you like the Predators have hips, which is unusual.
Yeah.
It's a weird design for a monster. They feel sleek and slender and tall and athletic. It's like a basketball player. Whereas these guys are linebackers.
Yeah, they're monsters.
It's very, very jarring for the fans because these guys are top-heavy, bulky designs, and it is very unusual. Taken by itself, it's okay. I feel it's a little more generic to make your alien monster bulky like that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But again, this is fan service in the movie, so why would you go and do something that's actively going to be confusing to your fans? I don't quite get it. Part of it might... I think part of it actually came down to the fact that you've got Ian White underneath all the costumes, and it's not like he's a chubby dude or anything. I think he's 7'2", if I remember right. But he's I have a hard time thinking of the right way to describe this dude. In no way fat. He's just very tall and a little bit wider than you think of guys that are 7 feet tall.
He's the Mountain.
I think of like, well, not that muscular, I don't think, but he did play the Mountain, so there you go. I think of like 7'2" guys being, basketball players who are actually pretty darn skinny when they're in their prime. So I think they just had to build the suits around the taller, wider dudes that they had. It was also interesting on the commentary they talked about how difficult it was to film this for a while because you've got 3 Predators that are showing up. And if you get anyone who's not Ian White in one of those suits, who's only like 6'9", they look very small. Like you have to get incredibly tall people to sell how big they are due to the way the suits are designed. Since they're wider, you have to make the person even taller to really impress the size of these characters when there's not a reference point on screen, like a human actor next to them. So in most cases, they would just have Ian White change costumes or masks or whatever, so they could film him doing several different Predators at the same time. But there were something like 4 or 5 different units filming concurrently on this movie. It wasn't just first and second unit. There's like 4 units going, and they can't all use Ian White. He's one man. He can't serve all 4 units in different sound sets at the same time. So they kind of had to make do and put different people into the suits that can't sell how tall these guys really should be. We need more 7'4" actors, is what I'm getting at.
Come on, Doug Jones. Get your shit together. Elongate.
Boy, that would be weird to see Doug Jones as a Predator. I'm sure he could do it. But his typical style is more of a sympathetic monster.
Oh, he plays a nude Predator?
Oh.
He's the Predator bourgeoisie. Just imagine a Predator that's like eating grapes and hosting a gladiator battle of tough Predators.
Tough Predators.
The gladiator Predators.
I would love to see a shitty Predator version of American Gladiators on Predator basic cable. It's not the big foam sticks they hit each other with.
The Predator planet like once. We don't know what that's like. Come on, guys. Give it to us.
We were this close to getting Robert Rodriguez's Planet of the Predators movie 50 years ago.
And
Don't make us
if we want to
sad.
discuss the fortunes of these film series, boy, what a ride. So with Alien, the first one comes out, and Ridley Scott is a pretty inexperienced director at that point, but he makes one of the all-time classic haunted house movies. Then, years later, James Cameron comes around, takes the film series in a completely different direction, and makes another action classic. So we go from horror to more of an action film, all within the realm of sci-fi. Then a young David Fincher grabs the reins and makes a movie that people are slowly becoming fans of. I think people nowadays actually give Alien 3 too much credit,
Yeah.
but it's such a weird jump around because now we're back to a prison movie that doesn't do great at the box office, and then we get Alien Resurrection, which I really respect for what a weird thing that is. Like, I'm just impressed that it exists. Not that it's a great movie, it's just surprising that thing was ever made the way it's made. And what a weirdo back and forth franchise that's essentially run out of steam and area to play with. They hung themselves on the fate of Ellen Ripley, and they can't get Sigourney Weaver back anymore, so that franchise feels like it's dead in the water. And it's so weird because the Alien universe is gigantic. They've set this up as a world with hard interstellar travel. We've got mining colonies all across the universe. There's androids, there's aliens, there's all sorts of neat shit here. But the franchise is so dedicated to the fact that it's called Alien, they can only focus on one aspect, and it eventually strangled that franchise in my mind. Predator has been like exercises of, hey, we did one successful film, what do we do next? I don't know, we'll try switching the location. That didn't work? We'll pretend the last one didn't happen and try switching the location.
We'll constantly tease you with cameo Dutch, but never have him appear.
Right. If you look at the Predator series, the first one was massively successful. The second one went, well, what if we did the same movie, but we went for a city this time? We'll just change the environment and deepen the lore slightly. And it didn't really work for me. Then we have Alien versus Predator. It's weird to think that Predator got the versus treatment on the strength of 2 movies. But then after
Predator
this,
was a big fucking deal. It's kind of amazing.
it was iconic for the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Even like my nephew, you know, he looks at Predator and he thinks, oh, that's really cool. And that's a movie that's way older than he is. It's just weird to think that that's the one that's kind of a classic that even like young preteen boys think is still really cool.
Doesn't hurt that Predator gets played on basic cable every single goddamn day.
Constantly. It's got to help. But if you look at the post-AVP Predator franchise, it's been nothing but stutters and stops. We had Predators, which they decided, what if we went to the alien planet and do more deep lore diving, where we see the Predators have some sort of genetic civil war thing going on. That's cool. No, that didn't take off. Fine. We'll reboot with the Predator, and we'll put it in the suburbs again and pretend AVP Requiem didn't happen, and this is exciting and new. And there'll be a deeper focus on the team, like in the first movie, and more deep lore. This time the Predators are hunting for genetic aspects of people to make themselves stronger, and no, you guys didn't like that either? Oh. Predator it's like, it feels like they have one good idea, and they don't know how to expand upon it, but they keep trying. Alien feels like they have a lot of good ideas, but they feel like they can't expand on it. They have opposite problems.
It's very true. I mean, I do love Predators, but Predators feels like the completion of a circuit to me. Like, okay, you did Predator, you did Predators, you did the years later sequel where you escalated things perfectly and made a really good movie. I don't know if you can do that much more beyond, like, that much more as a franchise. Like, you still have the Planet of the Predators movie to do one day, but beyond that, what is there? It's like Terminator whenever you finally had a movie set during the war. After that, what else is there?
Yeah. And, I mean, I actually enjoyed the Predator series, but I don't know if we ever really need another. At the end of the newest one, spoilers, I guess if you haven't seen that yet, They end on a teaser where humans are gifted a predator killing suit to hint that there's going to be future wars with the predators and it's going to be more action heavy and cool. And it's super clunky, and I'm kind of glad we did not get a sequel to The Predator because, boy, I don't think I would have enjoyed that direction.
I don't even know what that movie would be. I actually did not know that was how that ended.
Yeah,
And at one point it was supposed to be Dutch wearing it. One point it was supposed to be Ellen Ripley wearing it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Would that be through time travel?
That's the way it would have worked.
Also, the thing that makes the Predators interesting as antagonists is they're either a single Predator or an elite commando squad, usually battling a single victim or an elite commando squad. I don't really know if a Predator war movie would be in any way interesting.
No,
I'm just fascinated because they stuck with the mythology through the various restarts of the series. Like they're going whole hog in the idea that, hey, the predators have a war on their planet, and there's two camps of predators. There's like apparently classic predators and super genetic edited predators, which is weird. It'd be like if all the ideas of Terminator Salvation persisted into Genesis, persisted into Dark Fate.
It is weird. You have to give it up to the Predator franchise. It is still all one story, technically.
Yeah,
it's got shit together, at least, in that regard.
Somehow, they've never pulled off that Arnold Schwarzenegger cameo.
Like, they tried. It almost happened here. If he didn't become governor, Dutch would have totally fucking appeared in this fucking thing.
In a scene shot in Arnold's mansion because he didn't want to go outside.
And he probably has a set where he could battle a predator, too, just at his house. See, going into the Predator stuff, the confusion of what the hell to even do with that species plot-wise, I think this movie actually hit at something pretty interesting with the escalation based on the ending of Predator 2. Lean into the war against the Predators thing, but do it, as like a, like Thunderbolt, Suicide Squad almost type of plot, but then lean on, go more into like the personalities of and kind of elite, commando squad of Predators, and then have like a human character there for us to more interact with, or have them team up with a team of humans because there's a threat to extinction of both their races or something, and have this almost Black Ops-esque plot with humans and Predators having to team up to battle the super Predators.
So we get Blade 2, but with Predators. I like it.
Or they could just go with some of the concepts from the comics. What if, we made this more of a sci-fi deal? You now have Space Marines versus Predators, or you go the other direction and you do what they hinted at the end of Predator 2, where you have a fucking pirate or a Revolutionary War hero going after a Predator.
Yeah.
You could, if you're going to mess with the setting, why not the timeline as well? Go ahead and make it even more interesting by having it be a period piece.
But
it could be fun.
There was a fucking Predator PlayStation 3 game, I believe, that was set during the Prohibition. So it was fucking noir Predator. It was hilarious.
The Predator kills gangsters.
Yeah, you do mostly kill bootleggers in that game, for some reason.
I think the fun of the Predator was, when it first came out, it was, the 80s. These guys didn't have top-of-the-line technology with them. It's mostly, machine guns and knives and grunt work. And the fun comparison was the Predator could be invisible. It could shoot lasers at you. It was a super high-tech creature that was going on a low-tech hunt. And as technology progresses, I think the difference between the hunted and the hunter becomes a little more blurred or less exciting. So that's why I think a period piece would be a lot of fun. If you have a guy who's got a flintlock rifle versus a guy with a plasma cannon, it's incredibly unfair. So watching that guy have to figure out a way to overcome and adapt and win is going to be way more interesting to me.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. One of the things that made Predators work was just setting it on an alien world where nobody has anything.
Yeah, strip it
Yeah.
all down to its barest.
I mean, that movie also has Lawrence Fishburne, though, so anytime you can get that guy in your movie, you're doing okay.
And he is motherfucking alive.
I think the most motherfucking alive Lawrence Fishburne has been is in John Wick 3. Everyone needs to go see that. It's fantastic. It's delightful to see that guy just go over the top.
With
Also,
his pigeons.
saying all this, I'm totally okay with the Predator franchise going backward and having Dutch and Danny Glover's character fucking taken to the Predator home planet to do battle in like an arena or something.
God, could you imagine?
They might have missed the mark on that one. I think maybe those guys are a little too old to reclaim their action thrones.
I don't think it matters. It's just the novelty.
Yeah. Does anyone else think it's weird that all this stuff is covered in spider webs inside of the Antarctic temple?
Ice spiders. Just like in Superman Lives.
I don't know why, but I will literally never get tired of people with flashlights in Alien in a movie with xenomorphs looking at old runes and shit.
It's the best trope of this franchise.
I would like to say it is insane to me that this movie still has not introduced a Predator versus Alien fight.
Man, what's our timestamp at this point? Jeez. It's almost over. I will say, at least...
We haven't had an actual confrontation between the two main forces yet.
At least whenever it does happen, you get to see a Predator motherfucking choke slam a xenomorph.
Yeah, and we're pretty much at that point now. I mean, the aliens have been introduced. The Predators are in the base. The humans are realizing there's a threat out there. The action starts now. I will say, though, the Predator killing a guy with the magic invisible noose, not my favorite moment in the film.
Yeah, it's one of those scenes where you have to watch it a couple of times to know what the fuck is even happening.
Yeah,
Or
it's
just
a
one of
cool
those,
idea.
oh,
Predator
boy.
stealth killing somebody. Like,
Yeah, but the fact the guy had to walk directly into that noose is ridiculous to me. They have like 10 other ways to kill you. That's not the way to go, guys. One thing I would like to mention, early in the film, they set up there's a conflict between the Beakers and the rough, hard-edge workers of this group. And it feels like they're setting up a really interesting conflict between those two sides. And then they don't really do anything with it. Like, they set this up here where Tommy Flanagan is set aside with a Scottish doctor, and you think, oh, they're going to have to learn how to, like, overcome their differences, or their differences are going to destroy them. But no.
That's just kind of there because that's what you do in science team movies.
yeah,
It's
And
a
the movie's
shame, because
kind of
these guys could have worked together great, and they could have done something with this. It's such a letdown and a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot of that with the characters. I mean, Lex is kind of forgotten for a little while in the middle of the movie. It's just plot stuff has to be set up to get things moving since it's an hour and a half long.
Yep.
So you lose the main character for a little while.
I remember this came out, not really to your point at all, Mike, sorry. This came out during like the height of movie novelizations. You know, like mid-2000.
That's super not related to his point, Cody.
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
That's as far away from his point as humanly possible.
Cody,
I
do you
just
know
wanted
what a
to mention it.
segue is?
No, that's why I apologized. So I remember, like, since I couldn't see this in theaters, I did my pirated copy of the movie, and then I bought the movie novelization, and I was so excited to read through that. But anyone who's read novelizations of films knows the pain of that experience, because they have all these details from the scripts that were eventually changed or entirely dropped. A lot of times you read that stuff and you think, oh, that's canon to me now. And you watch the film and you go, wait, where's that scene from the book? Or where's that idea from the book? There's several moments I can't even remember specifically, but I remember the book experience of Alien vs. Predator being much more satisfying than the movie experience for some odd reason.
I'm sure they had more time.
Definitely.
It would be
The
awesome if
best
it was 20 pages, though.
It's a
They
little
fight.
golden book.
It's a little
That'd
pamphlet.
be adorable.
I have to say, the best example of that in the history of movie novelizations is still, according to Chris Claremont, the reason Magneto makes the metal balls to escape from his prison in X-Men 2 is because in Auschwitz, he was forced to make ball bearings for the Nazis. So now he is reclaiming what he once made under enslavement to break himself free. I love the moment in the X2 commentary where they all just grumble at the fact that they didn't think of that.
I'm still convinced he used the fucking ball bearings again in Days of Future Past because of that.
Probably, I would be surprised. It's kind of a shame. I think the movie novelization has kind of died off over the years. But for a while there, I remember being very excited, like, oh my god, a Spider-Man movie is coming out? Better buy the book version of that.
I remember when people were ripping those off the shelves to get secrets from the movie?
Yeah.
Like Thanos was going to show up at the end or something. In retrospect, it's very odd.
The deleted scenes are all in here, guys!
Oh, Spider-Man he sewed together his costume from a book he got at the library.
I was so busy talking about movie novelizations, I stopped paying attention. Is Colin Salmon dead?
No.
Okay, good.
He's there being awesome.
Thank God.
And a fun name to say.
It is.
Going back to the set design, this movie really is the best mummy movie that never happened. At least as far as set design. Like, I want to see a mummy movie that's mostly about the fucking tomb and all its
you never
traps
see that.
and shit. And the mummy is just the xenomorph stalking them. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, an Antarctic mummy is kind of fascinating. You're right, though. If they repurpose this set as well as just a mummy movie, that'd be a hell of a film. That'd be fantastic.
I like how we always... Exactly. I like how we always end up going back to fucking mummies, but
somebody has to fix them.
It's always bugged me that, like, why are the tomb portion of a mummy story, why is that always like 10 minutes and then we move to somewhere else?
Right?
It's so lame.
I guess it's expensive to make sets, but a lot of these sets are kind of like the samey-ish. You could recombine parts of them and just fool audiences to think they're in 10 different rooms by moving walls around. Or you could do like the Del Toro room elongation thing by just putting some mirrors in strategic places so a room looks like it's 30 times bigger than it is. You could cheat the budget pretty easily on this stuff.
Oh god, As Above, So Below is made for like $1.95.
Yeah.
That's one of the best mummy movies ever made, and it doesn't have a mummy in it.
All right, here we go. Full-on xenomorph.
Finally.
Yeah.
They splatter this guy with all sorts of KY. Looks fantastic. They did not skimp on the slime, which I really appreciate.
If I remember the mechanism, like, there was so much slime that it just never stopped, even when their takes weren't out. Like, it just kept pumping out of the tube. So between takes, they had to put a bucket underneath it.
God, just like Lance Henriksen.
This is, though, oddly enough, what I think of when I think of the xenomorph is the image we just saw, like it's snarling, the inner jaw moving about, the lips trembling. They did a phenomenal job on the animatronics and the puppets and the actual suits in this movie.
Oh, they've never looked better.
The xenomorph's just real really in this fucking thing.
Yeah, it's so cool. So that's what bothers me. Great as they do the alien, the Predator seems fucked up. It's like they focused on one side and perfect, and the other side was, what do we do now? Give it more
there's
teeth.
Stuff they got like really right, I think, with the Predator design wise, like the animatronics of the face and mouth once they take it off, once they take the helmet off and whatnot.
I am not in agreement on that. Totally.
Really, I think the face on the Predators look pretty cool.
Hold on. Oh, Salmon, no! This guy needs to be cast in a Saw movie or a Cube movie just to be killed by Razor Net. This joke going.
He dies spectacularly all the time.
Although he doesn't actually get torn to pieces by this net. The Predator kills him before he gets cubed up.
He does not die Cyrax style, unfortunately.
They hint at it.
But I dig the different masks to differentiate them, and some of the other design work on like the bodysuits and whatnot. It's just the size is off. They're too bulky. The
It
backpacks
makes
don't
them
really
look like
work.
cosplayers.
Well, they keep using like these lion roars for the predator. That seems a little overdone in my mind.
A little bit.
I know they
yeah.
used animal noises for the predators before, but this seems too much. I will say I am very upset that the Celtic predator is not our main predator. He clearly has the coolest mask. It's a throwback design from the end of Predator 2, so it's got history. And instead we get Scar, and Scar is boring. Scar is lame. I don't like Scar.
Damn.
Look at
Like
that.
this guy gets a great shot, but this guy gets punked by like the world's longest alien tail, which always kind of bothered me. Whatever, I can get by it. It's a cool shot. Celtic Predator, look at this motherfucker. This is the cool guy. This is the movie.
I'll never get
This
tired
is
of
the
seeing a
man I wanna
xenomorph
see.
in predator vision.
And now we get to both the best and worst part of the movie simultaneously.
This fascinates me. Okay, so if you watch the action scene here, we have this kind of rumbly camera. We've got the dust flying everywhere. And then we have other shots that are pulled out, wide angle, really great, easy to understand action. It's, again, one of those things where apparently like the second or third unit was not in cohesion with the first unit.
Yeah.
It feels like 3 or 4 different people directed this action scene, and it drives me bananas that there's no cohesion between all the different parts. This first part is not my favorite. It's very tough to tell what's happening. But then we get a transition in a couple seconds here where all of a sudden this becomes a very enjoyable fight.
Yeah, it feels like they tried to film it like a xenomorph attack and like a big Arnold action scene at the same time. And yeah, that just comes across as disorienting.
Yeah. I remember them talking about this during the making of process, and they were all excited because it was such extreme action when they're smashing into columns. There was too much dust to actually see the monster action on screen. Which in retrospect kind of means like, oh, yeah, that translated. We didn't know how our choreography was working out, and we weren't able to capture everything the way we wanted. See, again, look at how different this is from what we saw just like a minute ago.
This is
More
delightful.
slow motion shots, wide action. This is cool. This is great. This feels like it's worth your money.
Like, it's so Paul W.S. Anderson stupid.
Yeah, but I'm okay with
But
that.
it works.
It's in
Yeah.
the best way. This is what you want to
It's-
see. It's what we're here
The
for.
opening of the fight when the alien is on top of the predator. It's like you said, maybe that's supposed to be the alien section of the fight, but it's goddamn early Chris Nolan shaky cam bullshit. Like it's not that hard to see, but it doesn't look the same as the later portion, and it's not as fun to watch.
Also, it is fascinating with both of these characters to see them in a movie that treats them like they're not that big of a deal. Like this movie, especially with the Predators, this movie is so lackadaisical about them. It works to the movie's deficit, but it's also kind of a weird strength. Like, it's an interesting change of pace.
One, I really like the idea that they made a main predator for us to follow by giving this one grid damage on it. So grid alien, hey, there we go. We've got a real protagonist now. 2, God damn it, no! Scar was the best! Or Scar's the worst.
You can't even
I want-
decide.
I want Celtic Predator all the way, and this is sad. That bums me out. I just lost all interest in the movie right there.
Also, going back to the like puppetry work, I love the decision to not have the xenomorph be a dude in a suit and go full animatronic because that
They
is
actually
the
did have a dude in the suit.
yeah. Occasionally, yeah, you are right. They did have, I believe, a dude in the suit for some stuff, but a majority of the time, it is an animatronic because they wanted the xenomorph to be more skeletal beyond the point someone could actually wear it. And that's why you see shots of it like, you know, from the body up or occasionally like moving around. It's like super skinny and skeletal. And I love that design. And the fact that it's a practical animatronic is really cool.
I actually
yeah.
didn't know that it was 100% animatronic. That's great.
Like animatronic, there's not that many CGI touch-ups. Though obviously there's some shots where you can tell it's CGI. There's other
Tail
ones
usually
though where
is.
the tail is like on strings or is being puppeted, which you can tell the tail doesn't always look perfect. But I would still take the physical tail whipping around more so than the CGI version of the tail they did. There's a lot of practical effects that went into the alien in this movie, and they all pay off. They're just a treat to watch.
And it's funny when this came out, and even to this day, it's remembered as like this CGI heavy film. So much so that Requiem was even treated like, no, we're going like all practical effects with this one, unlike that first one.
I think people got mad because there were glory shots. That's probably the wrong way to say it. There's slow-mo shot of the facehuggers jumping at the camera, and people latched onto that. They did not like those professional money shots of the creatures.
Yeah, this was 2004, where pretty much any CGI was seen as
Yeah.
sacrilege.
Oh, so goodbye, Lance Henriksen.
We just watched Lance Henriksen battle the Predator.
We can all die now.
So when they were filming that, it was a bit of a nightmare because they used real flames against the Predator costume, and the dreadlocks were just melting off of the costume.
Ugh.
And the costume designers were freaking out because it's like, no, we don't want to keep making those. That's hard to do. We don't want to keep putting dreadlocks on this guy. Can you do it in one take? No? Fuck.
Sometimes not everything has to be practical.
I mean, I don't want anyone to die on set. If you can CGI something so a person doesn't have to die, that's probably for the best. This I think sums up my feelings on the movie. One, this is a great claustrophobic, cool scene that uses their set pieces to max advantage. And then we get this silly shuriken toss to add on top of it that we don't need. Him just getting through that tunnel is great enough. The weird insert shot of the Predator, like, oh, fuck that guy, throw a blade at him, is just a little too hammy for my
It was
taste.
a little too
He
far.
threw that shit before we went to the room. Yeah, Anderson never quite knows when to say when.
How's
Oh
that
no,
drink?
my tiki drink is up. Which means, folks, it's time to introduce the second official drink of the evening. This is the Rosalie. It's not a mixed drink, but going with our theme of the movie of versus sides, it's a beer, rosé wine, mixed beer. You get your beer, your wine, one classy glass, all thanks to Firestone Walker Brewing Company. Beer brewed with hibiscus and wine grapes.
Give us
Can I get my
money.
check now? Please. We're box office pulp. We'll shill for anything,
Especially booze.
especially booze. I'll drink it. Don't even tempt me.
So I love them being like, come over here. Look, this is weird.
Look at this
This
fucking
hot.
shit.
Is this hot to you? This is hot.
I mean, this is kind of an interesting bit because we've never seen a Predator with like a special marking on his helmet before to indicate that this is accepted canon or something that explains backstory in the Predator universe we've been wondering about. This is just a new piece of mythology they made up for this movie.
It's also impressive they made a Predator like ceremonial mark, which we've kind of seen before in like Predator 2, or like on the ship and stuff. But it's a xenomorph, but it's also designed like something a Predator would have. But it's also a picture of a xenomorph, and it's like your worlds are colliding.
To back up just a second, we just saw a facehugger jump at Scar, and then the camera cuts away, and boy, do I hate that beat. That's one of those moments where everyone who knows movies knows what happened. Everyone who's been paying attention to this particular film knows what happens. Anyone who's seen an Alien movie before knows what happened. I don't know why they have to even kind of try and play coy. Like it was just silly to cut there. Like none of us are going to assume that Scar killed that alien totally, or else they would have just showed it.
And it
Like-
sets it up as if the Predalien is the ending of the movie when it's just a fucking sequel tease.
Yeah, it would have been better
like-
just to show a face hugger like start to crawl in and then cut away, because that's something you'll forget about completely.
Exactly. I would have been for that. Just tease it.
Yeah,
God, could you imagine the alternate version of this movie where that is the third act and it's just Lex versus a giant fucking pred alien
that would have been
Been
awesome.
fantastic.
that popped in at the last moment?
You could still keep the alien queen in that one, and then all of a sudden you got an alien queen, a pred alien, Scar, and Lex all fighting for their lives. Holy shit, that'd be cool.
Also,
cool.
everything about this is very cool right now, by the way.
Yes,
On the
I was
side.
about to say, imagine if this was your movie. This whole movie is here. This flashback scene is the entire film. I would definitely watch a movie set from the point of view of like a human slave as aliens are fighting alien predators, and it all ends with all this being blown to smithereens as the predators lose their battle to just a giant outbreak of predator xenomorphs.
God, apocalypto, but it's the Predators. It's
That would
amazing.
be dope as fucking hell. That'd be an AVP movie.
I mean, look at that shit.
Yeah. So I mean, this is fine. It's just a shame because you look at this stuff and you go, "Wow, look at this individual piece." I want more of this, please.
Yeah, we just watched a movie essentially.
Anyways,
You
there's
read
your
all
flash.
that on those hieroglyphics, right, dude?
They even laugh on that in the commentary track. Like they know what they're doing. They're like, "Fuck, we need a cool flashback scene." I don't know. He'll just make it up from some glyphs.
See, I appreciate whenever movies have fuck it moments like that. It's like that's the kind of schlock I'm there for, and it's self-aware. It's like fuck it, we're just here for this. We know why
Again,
you're
it's-
watching.
AVP. We're not asking for much. Give us that kind of stuff. We don't mind.
That's why I think this movie needs to be given a lot of slack for being silly. It's like, yeah, you're damn. Like, could you make like a serious sci-fi movie like about an alien predator fighting? Sure, you could.
But they didn't, and we're all here anyway.
I do have to say, I give any movie that features this much slime an automatic +1 on a scale of 10.
Well, yeah,
The early 2000s were a smorgasbord of slime.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
where-
slime.
where does this fall on the Sam Raimi scale of slime?
Ooh. It has a lot of slime, but it's not in their mouths, which is a big part of slime for Sam Raimi.
There are face hugger have penises that go into mouths.
That's true, but it's not the same as Drag Me to Hell, where like you have a
That's true,
decomposing
that's true,
witch
that's true.
corpse vomiting worms into your mouth. Again, I wish I cared about this character because this would be such a sad scene. That said,
Instead, it's
great
just
visual.
kind of cool.
So when they were filming this, they actually needed puppeteers to handle all these aliens. These are just puppeteered aliens. So they're filming, and they say, "Hey, we need like way more puppeteers. We don't have enough." And the studio sent them a couple of guys, and they got there, and they were apparently just terrible. And they started asking, like, "Hey, what's your puppeteering experience? What's your movie experience?" And these guys all said, "None. The studio sent us." Like, these guys didn't even speak English. They just got sent by the studio as extras, essentially, to start puppeteering aliens. And they had a translator trying to explain to them how to make alien hands work.
Oh, good lord.
I mean, it doesn't really show in the film. It looks pretty good still. You don't notice, like, any of the aliens doing anything odd.
Yeah.
They cut around it just fine. They made it work. It's just a funny bit of backstory.
So why are you still alive? Why hasn't she teamed up with Scar yet?
I know,
That's
right?
what we want.
Why isn't that just the goddamn movie?
That should be the movie. I was going back to Lex for a minute. I was so glad to actually see AVP and Lex brought up in the horror noir documentary.
Yeah, it was awesome.
If you have Shudder, you should definitely give that documentary a watch. Horror Noir. I believe it's actually based on a longer novel, correct?
Yeah.
So, obviously, I haven't read the novel since I wasn't even sure if it existed. But the documentary is phenomenal. If you're a fan of horror movies, you got to check it out. And if you don't have Shudder and you're a horror fan, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's like $5 a month. You get Joe
Wow.
Bob.
Yeah, why are you even
We're
here?
missing Joe Bob right now to record this. That's how much we care about the box office pulp experience.
We're also very dumb.
Well,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah,
Joe
Lex
Bob's
is.
Let's Drive.
But yeah, Lex is, I think, a very like overlooked and forgotten kind of horror sci-fi action protagonist, especially being a black woman, which is super rare to this day. And the fact that
fair
it
point.
was actually made that back in 2004 is really impressive. And it's solid character. And the fact she gets to team up with the goddamn Predator and battle a xenomorph.
I feel like this shot was the selling point of all the trailers, which is very unusual considering it's an Alien versus Predator movie.
There was a lot of jumping in the trailer. It was very strange.
There's a lot of jumping in the 2000s.
Also, I'm pretty sure this bridge is where the entirety of the third act of the new Tomb Raider movie takes place.
Oh, yes.
Pretty sure it's the
Fun
same
fact,
bridge.
they also filmed Hellboy 1 on the same bridge. I made that up. That's a lie, people. Don't believe me.
If you look closely, Ivan's falling.
Hey, goodbye, Doctor.
Thank God he's dead. Also, that was a very cool shot again.
I'm okay with the Doctor being dead. I mean, we see him again later, but oh, God, just die already.
Kill the male characters quicker.
Now the movie can begin. Tommy Flanagan and Lance Henriksen could have made it a little longer.
Man, why isn't the end of this movie Lance Henriksen teaming up with the Predator?
It is weird. Like,
live.
Henriksen, it is really odd. Henriksen dies so fucking quickly. But he's Wayland. Why is he like one of the first to die? It's really weird.
And he's beautiful humanity Wayland, which is probably Anderson's most interesting wrinkle to the screenplay.
Yeah.
Do you think they got money from Pepsi to actually feature that lid?
They had to at least make a phone call, which amuses the shit out of me.
No, you don't understand. There's going to be humanity here. Give us the Pepsi rights.
Listen, Pepsi turned us down, but there's this dude in the hallway who's telling me something about raisins.
All right, if this movie was made in the 80s and still included that Pepsi logo, you know there would be a tie-in commercial of the goddamn Predator popping open a glass of Pepsi and drinking it.
Just floating.
Oh, motherfucker, I'm mad we didn't get that now. Like, a fucking xenomorph, like, using its tiny mouth to, like, clip off the end of a fucking can. That'd be great.
Oh, that's it. The Predator hands over a bottle to the alien. It uses its inner mouth to pop open the bottle. The Predator thanks him and then drinks it. They're friends. It's alien, friend, Predator.
Alien Hearts Predator.
Okay, do you guys remember this? First, Bugles. Do you remember Bugles?
Who doesn't?
Yes,
Do you remember the Alien Bugle commercial?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
There was. Maybe I had a fever dream one night and this became real to me, but I swear to God, there was a commercial that featured the Xenomorph and Bugles. I'm looking this up on my phone right now to make sure I'm not insane. From 2002, there was in fact a Bugles and Alien commercial. I'm going to watch this with my volume off so I don't interrupt this prime viewing experience for folks at home.
Oh my God, yeah, this is totally a thing.
There's a scientist eating Bugles on a spaceship. Oh, it's a knockoff alien, but it's basically
bullshit.
the Xenomorph more green with the Predator's dreadlocks. And the scientist can live as long as he's feeding the alien Bugles.
Oh, fuck, I remember that.
Oh, that does sound really familiar to me.
I think it was a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's back when ads brought it.
In my mind, I replaced that shitty knockoff alien Predator with a real Xenomorph. Also, while I was talking, we missed a vital part of the movie where Lex just killed an alien.
God, that is a slimy alien.
Why was that so hard, Ripley?
Alien should be slimy. I agree. The thrill of killing an alien really switches movie to movie. Like, I found it was a little funny earlier in the movie where Scar has to kill an alien by basically spinning around real quick and killing it when it's sneaking up on him. Like, it makes it look very easy, whereas Celtic Predator had to fucking battle one to the death in a brawl.
I think some aliens are just losers.
Yeah, like people.
I love any time we cut to grid, by the way.
Smart enough to sneak away like, fuck this shit. I'm not a smart man. Can someone explain to me how the plasma cannons work into this movie? So at the start of the film, the human characters find the basin that's holding the plasma cannons, and they pick them up, and the predators go, "Oh shit! Someone grabbed our plasma cannons," and they start running. And this is when the pyramid starts moving around. So apparently, grabbing the cannons starts the countdown. But the predators, I think, are meant to kill the alien without the cannons. Like they're supposed to do it man on man style, and once they do that, they earn the cannons. So I don't understand how that lines up. Are they supposed to claim the cannons and put them in their back pocket until they kill an alien? And then they can be like, cool, I've upgraded. I can use this cannon now. How does that all play out? Mythology-wise, someone explain this to me.
This movie is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, man.
Okay, moving on to something cool. I like the idea of a predator being smart enough to go, alien skin obviously is immune to alien acid. Let's just fucking make that body armor.
Because
It is
this had
pretty
to, like, get cool, like, super cool all of a sudden.
This is this movie's version of the Predator battling a Yakuza.
Also, Cody,
And the predator being smart. God damn it! Let me explain to me what I'm doing here.
Also, I do believe you are correct. I think the cannons were like their prize or something.
But it's silly because the whole maze starts moving once they grab the cannons. It should have been like as soon as the predators walk in, whatever.
I think the humans just fucked up and started activating shit.
But the whole temple activates when they grab the cannons, so it's just silly. Like
Maybe that's some kind of theft protection. You ever think about that? Piece of shit.
Yeah.
I did not. I will say,
Poking holes in this movie.
I think that might have been one of the features of the unrated film where the predator pokes the alien brain and scares Lex with it.
I think so. I don't remember that in the...
Which is a beat I'm glad they kept in, because the predator is best when they give it some personality other than killing machine.
Yeah.
The most memorable part of the original Predator to me is when Arnold Schwarzenegger is basically beat. Like he's laying on the ground, the Predator's coming after him. Arnold realizes, hey, if the Predator crosses this tripwire, a tree branch is going to slam into him and murder him. So Arnold starts screaming out, "Come on, what are you waiting for? Do it! Kill me!" And the Predator basically like leans against a branch and starts fucking around with the leaf, like, no, I'm not an idiot, and then walks around his trap. That's the greatest part of Predator to me. The amount of personality the Predator displays in that moment sells all of the performances right there. This is a smart creature. It's kind of sarcastic. It's kind of an asshole. I love it. It's so much personality out of what could just be a generic space monster.
That's the most important thing about the Predator. He's a dick.
Yes, and you got to do those little character flourishes to show that they have personalities and are all dicks in special ways. Scar is boring. I hate Scar.
In the theatrical version, I think the Predators were much more just kind of grunty movie monsters. I know it's gotten a lot of complaints, but I definitely think in those little moments I had back in like the unrated cut, I do think help.
Yeah,
Which really, it's about a shame. About on the par with Predator 1 Predator.
Yeah, there's like 3 seconds dedicated to the shots necessary for that little bit of character. Just fucking put it in there, man. We're here for the Alien vs. Predator action. We can live with 3 extra seconds of Predator footage. I'm actually going to start a petition online. Insert more scenes of the Predator being an asshole to all Predator movies. We're also refilming Game of Thrones Seasons 5. I don't know why 5, but people haven't petitioned for that yet. So
Fuck, we just want to join in.
The Predator.
I'm mad that the people I agree with are also dicks. Like, we should refilm Season 8. Now, Season 8 sucks, but it's just what it is. Sorry. You gotta live with that. It is how it is.
People I agree with are also dicks. The Cody Alf story.
It reflects poorly on me, and I don't like it. Also, that Predator was so nice, and he made you a spear, and you immediately abandoned it for a gun with like 3 shots.
Yeah, that's some video game logic there.
This is slasher logic. Hey, a knife. Well, I stabbed him once. Better put it away forever. No, goddammit, pick up that spear again. You will need it. I'm covered in too much slime. You have to let me go.
I'm more slime than man.
Oh, no. I feel like a Mucinex commercial.
I like how you briefly became Antonio Banderas as the cartoon bee in that allergy commercial.
I can't be that suave. Thank you for the credit, though.
No. Slime.
Slime.
I always love how the predator masks, the eyes on them are like kind of goofy alien eyes. Like
They
their
are.
eyes of grays. Like, I kind of love that. Like they look exactly like the fucking face from the Independence Day aliens were pretty much just the predator mask.
I am also this is a small, stupid detail, so you can ignore this complaint, but I'm also mad that when the alien's neck snaps in that last part, it's not sold by the actor at all.
No, not at all.
Like he's holding a puppet and he just whips his head back and is dead. And it's like, come on, man, you gotta like move the thumb or something. They ran out of takes. It was late in the day and they wanted to go home. So I think the idea here is, okay, we've seen that Scar can take out aliens, so it's not exciting anymore. We have to escalate the action. And we've already done all the fan service stuff where we've seen the chest bursters, we've seen the face huggers. We've really pretty much reached the end. He's got to face the Queen now. I understand that, and I think it's a cool progression. But the way they do it kind of bums me out. When they get to the surface and fight, Scar basically stands in one spot and just shoots all of his weapons straight at the Queen. Imagine a version of this movie where Scar has to like treat this like a video game, like he's running between buildings and shooting his laser cannon. He's like climbing on top of things to throw shurikens at it. Make it almost like a stealth thing where he has to use all of his predator skills and hunting abilities to survive the ultimate predator. This one, I'm so mad because they have these two awesome fighting machines and they just kind of stand at each other throwing blows.
Yeah, it smells very much of we ran out of money. It's very lame.
Or I'm sure it's also really hard to film in that goddamn predator suit.
I imagine so.
How can you see?
That's when you get some CGI help in there.
Oh, the line noise again. Please stop. Also, it's a bummer because we set up Grid as kind of the nemesis alien, but Scar and him never have like a mano-a-mano thing.
No, it's really weird. He's like Grid's the leader of the like pack over there, but there's never really a fight between the two. I love how Grid is the fucking stripe of this movie.
Yeah, it feels like the last battle should really be between Grid and Scar.
Give us Alien versus Predator.
I mean, hell, even in their origins, Grid and Scar have the same thing. Grid is scarred by an alien net, and Predator is scarred, well, Predator net, and Scar is scarred by alien blood. They're meant to fight each other. They have similar origins. This is the Batman Joker situation from Batman '89.
So look at this shit. Fucking Lex and Scar running like Riggs and Murtaugh from an explosion. After losing like in fucking Super Mario Brothers.
So yes, I'm very disappointed by the fact that Grid just doesn't get a glorious exit, because it feels like the movie is really lining those two up for a huge fight. I think if they put that down at the bottom of the temple, like Scar had to defeat Grid to get onto the tunnel elevator, it's just a missing beat. Like if you spent 5 minutes on that fight, man, that would have made this movie so much better. And then you can end with this scene the way it is. I'm perfectly fine with this fight as is if there's something better to preface it.
Yeah. Or just even Scar going at like dying in the process of battling Grid or something. Just they don't have like what was the point of Grid?
It's a shame because again, it's a wasted opportunity. They found a very clever way to make the aliens have a distinct leader. Hey, this one took out two predators. It bothers me that predators are also aliens, so I want to call them aliens.
It's truly just aliens versus aliens, and they're both technically predators.
Exactly.
So it's some aliens who are also predators. That's the movie's title.
So, Mike, my complaints here, because I've been mentioning this the whole episode, when you look at the predator, the folds of its mandibles go outward. And instead of feeling like a stretchy material, it feels like a rough, tough plastic that doesn't stretch. It just kind of bends shitty. I
I
also
can see
don't
that.
like the redesign they did with the teeth. They said they wanted this Predator to look, and I quote, more romantic, like a leading hero. So they gave him a full mouth of teeth. The old Predator design had the mandibles, and he had these giant bitey fangs, like 4 of them, and that was it. I just, there's something about the face design here I don't care for. They tried to humanize him a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it, but I like the personality of the face quite a bit. I kind of like the overall design.
In my mind, the best is the original Predator, and then
Well,
the Predator from Predator 2 I really love. Like, that one just looks fucking nasty.
yeah, the Predator
Like,
2
that looks
Predator
like
is
a
pretty fucking
asshole
awesome.
Predator 2. Yeah, this is what I hate. Ah, fire 1. Ah, throw thing 2. Ah, I probably should have walked somewhere else.
Oh God, it's like Dawn of Justice.
Oofed! I should have moved.
It's unrelated, but I was just thinking, have either of you ever played the Monolith Alien versus Predator games? That
No, I've heard
No.
amazing things about the old games, but I've never actually sat down to play them.
2 is one of the coolest shooters ever. You can play as Alien or Predator, and they're like, it's not like playing the same levels with a different skin. They're 2 completely different modes of gameplay and completely different levels. And with the Alien, you get to play throughout the entire gestation process. You get to pop out at just the right time as an egg.
Do you have to like push the
Awesome.
X button like 30 times to gather up the steam to pop out of a chest?
Oh yeah. You get to be a chest burster. You get to slither around and look for food for a small animal to eat so you can become a xenomorph.
Nice. It's a little
But
bit like the gameplay of Evolution. Or no, I'm sorry, Evolve. People probably don't remember that game because it came out, no one played it, and then they made it free to play. It was one person was a monster, and then 4 other people would play various hunter roles to try and stop the monster before it ate enough resources to become an uber monster and kill everyone. Yo, bro, it's Scar.
honestly, more video games need to adopt a monster evolution feature.
It's fun.
That's the content we want.
Also, we missed Lex's full action girl transformation.
She was dabbing
Pulled off the
aliens and shit.
jacket. Pulled off the jacket. It's very important.
So this is something that's always going to be in the back of my head. James Cameron was open to making Alien 5 until he found out about this movie.
Ridley Scott and James Cameron were making Alien 5 together until this was greenlit.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Most of the ideas
Scott,
became Prometheus, though, so.
yeah, Scott came forward and said he thought this film would kill the validity of the franchise and just stopped working on it. He's like, nah, flat out. He said, to me, that was Frankenstein meets werewolf. It was Universal just taking their assets and starting to play them off against each other, milking it. Which is also very weird because Scott would later say he saw the movie and enjoyed it. So,
No, Cameron. Cameron.
Yeah,
sorry,
Scott-
Cameron
right.
loved this. Scott still hasn't
not
seen it.
seen it. I'm sorry, Cameron. Yeah. I've confused so far tonight aliens with my Predators and my Scots with my Camerons.
I do love how Cameron digs this movie.
Didn't he call it the number 3 Alien film?
Yes. Like, I will shit on Cameron now and again for, like, just personality reasons, not necessarily talent or anything, but Cameron will at least appreciate, like, some fun schlock. He was not for it when it was being made, but it is cool to see that he watched it and went, yeah.
I'm glad
cool.
the man who started off helming Piranha 2 isn't above that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do, though, actually have the quote from I just did it again, from Scott. He was interviewed in 2012 about AVP, and he was asked if he had seen either of the films, and he said, no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't quite take that step. Laughter.
Well, with Requiem, I understand. Could you imagine Ridley Scott at his house, like on a Saturday, watching this on Hulu?
I imagine Ridley
Let's
Scott has like his
expand on
own
that.
theater room that's 40 feet tall or something. Like he's got his own personal IMAX. Which is even better, because just imagine him in his own solo IMAX eating up popcorn, watching Alien Requiem going, oh no.
Oh, bother. Also, I love the High Priest Predator here.
He's probably the coolest Predator design in the entire franchise.
Oh, that spiky face.
The spiky face, he has a cape.
The cape is such a great touch. Predators need to wear more goddamn capes.
They're fancy, weirdo space aliens. Go ahead, dress them up, make them neat. Who cares? A cape is kind of silly. Whatever, add one.
The Predator aliens have such interesting mythology. There's no real aliens like them. I think that's why they persist in pop culture. Nothing exists remotely close to them.
I sign of the alien. In the first place, they're mysteries upon mysteries. They start off invisible, so we can't really tell what the fuck they're doing or what they are. Then when they reveal themselves, we get the full alien outline, but they're wearing that mask. And then at the final part of an alien movie, they take the mask off and you get to see the mandibled face underneath. It's like a Kinder Egg if there was a toy inside of the toy.
And there's something very Lovecraftian
Yeah.
about that race, too. Just the idea that we are so beneath them that they'll just come to our planet on the weekends and kill a couple of us off randomly and go home.
But then there's that weird section of honor, like, oh, Danny Glover just blew up one of our guys. Better give him a pistol and tell him to go home. Oh, she fought next to one of our dudes. Here, you get his spear. You got a scar. You're fine.
Yeah, there's that recognizable humanoid trait that the Predators have, but unlike when you see that kind of thing in like comic book aliens or maybe movie aliens now and again, they're usually super humanoid. So they're like talking and interacting, or they lean more heavily into that. The Predators have that, like that honor system, that ritualistic stuff, that society, but they don't talk. Like they're still really alien-like.
Yeah.
I've always loved that idea. No matter what, even if the alien, God damn it, the Predator, and the humans are working together, it's all nonverbal. Like everything we know the Predator's kind of a dick. We get that through nonverbal cues. The most they'll do is copy a random bit of English language that they don't apparently understand.
Yeah.
Like in Predator 2, there's a part where he records a kid saying, "You want a piece of candy?" And he plays that over and over, like he doesn't quite get what the fuck that kid was saying. He just likes the tone of it, so he plays it at different points. Or, what the hell are you? I mean, that Predator apparently understood English a little bit better, but it's still a weird playback. I like that idea. I like that these are alien creatures with a completely different culture, and they don't really quite understand us, and they don't care. It'd be like if a deer walked up to you in the forest while you were hunting. Maybe you could understand, like, oh, it's trying to find food, it's trying to stay alive. I understand it roughly. I'm still going to shoot it. There's no dialogue between you and the deer.
So can I just say, like, we've made fun of it earlier, but God, is the Pred alien design just that was the shit when we were 15.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my worlds are colliding.
And then we'll eventually see it. Not really. I mean, it will be in shadow a lot, but
that's probably the problem I have with it. I always think of what it will grow into as the AVP version, where it's got the weird dreadlocks and the mandibles on top of the alien skull, and the whole thing just looks a little funny.
Yeah, they did not put a lot of thought into what that would logically look like.
Yeah.
But the face hugger's cool. I'm sorry, the chest burster's cool, at least.
I'm not the only one who's a damn fool.
So yeah, Alien versus Predator. Not really a good movie, but it's not worthy of the scrap heap, as many people have said over the years.
Pretty fun to watch.
Jamie, you described this movie before we actually decided to record it in the best way possible, where you said, I'm fascinated by this because there are pieces of this movie that work so well. And it's stuck in my head because there are pieces of this movie that really are fantastic, and then long stretches where you go, "Why did you do this?"
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, just give this script to a different director and tweak a couple of things on set, and you have an awesome Alien versus Predator movie where everyone goes home happy.
There, like, I've said before, and I'll say it again. There are seeds for greatness in the script. Like, there's okay character beats. They've got a great list of character actors, and then they just don't capitalize on any of that stuff. It's so weird. They did like half of Chekhov's gun. They're like, "Hey, look at that gun over the fireplace. Now let us leave the house for the remainder of the film."
This is a movie in desperate need of expansion.
Score's nice though.
Score is pretty good.
They did a good job combining a lot of the Alien. A lot of the Predator cues. Predator has a wonderful, wonderful, great chest-pounding action score in its heart, and I can see why they keep going back to the same cues because they were perfect in Predator 1. Alien score, specifically Alien apostrophe S, not Aliens, is there's a great score there, but it's more of the mystery horror aspect to it, and it doesn't quite fit into the tone I think this movie is typically going for. So I think there's a little bit less of the traditional Alien music here and more of the Predator themes and motifs, which I'm fine with, honestly.
Yeah.
I was amazed to discover that Alan Silvestri and Jerry Goldsmith were going to team up for this score.
Another what could have been. So, after the Predator came and flopped, do we think we're actually getting another Predator film anytime soon? I kind of feel like that series might be dead for another 10 years.
Yeah, it's going back into hibernation.
Alien Covenant didn't do amazing business, but it made a profit. But now with Disney owning that property, I have no idea if they're going to find a way to release that either. I've heard rumors that they want to do a TV show. I don't know.
Scott just said something today about it, actually. He's been talking to Disney about it.
Scott is very, very interested in more David.
I would love it if we could finish off that trilogy of David. But also, Scott is, 81, 82 years old? If they put him in development hell for 5 years, I don't know if the studio is going to feel comfortable letting like a 90-year-old try and direct another $200 million Alien movie. That said, Scott is goddamn prolific. He makes movies. Oh man, he just doesn't stop.
He survived Exodus.
I don't know where a man that old has that much energy. Like, who's he siphoning it from? Are there virgins with no blood somewhere?
Gets more
How
done
do
than
you
I
do it, Ridley Scott? How do you do it?
He's like Palpatine in the expanded universe.
It honestly weirds me out. Like, I've known a fair share of 80-year-olds. Most of them just kind of sit around their apartments all day. I've never seen one that's like, hey, let's go walk around Scandinavia and go film a Predator or an Alien movie.
Why aren't you more racist, Ridley Scott?
I mean, there was a lot of whitewashing in Exodus.
That's just normal Hollywood racism.
Also, can we just have Blomkamp make Alien 5?
That's what I was going to say. Can that please just happen since your other thing really didn't work out for you?
I'd be interested in seeing it. I mean, Sigourney Weaver's not getting any younger. You got to use her when you can.
Yeah.
If she's willing to come back and do an Alien film, get her in one right now.
Hey, she just didn't want to do spin-offs.
Well, didn't they have to do a hell of a lot of stuff to get her back on board for Alien, and also a hell of a lot of stuff to get her back on board for Alien Resurrection?
Oh, Alien Resurrection was that was a weird situation. I mean, that's why half of the weird shit is in there, because it was just ideas she had, and just crammed into a movie.
Well, didn't she say she would do it, but only like if her character never had to use a gun?
And her character died, and she had sex with the alien.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Sigourney Weaver was just trying to make that movie not happen.
I think that's likely.
Again, that's why I respect Alien Resurrection. It's goddamn weird. I can't believe any studio looked at that and went, okay, You want Ridley to fall into a hive of aliens and have this weird kind of alien orgy? You let the French guy handle that. That's fine.
Our movie got past every check and balance possible and got made.
That's what
Possibly
happens
with
when
more money than was given to this film.
That's what happens whenever you're so arrogant with a franchise. You just rubber stamp it along, just past every single red flag.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, you're right. The Alien Resurrection budget was $70 million US in 1997. Alien vs. Predator, I want to say, was also $70 million. I don't know if that jives with what I told the audience at the start of this podcast.
I'm going to say you're right.
Okay, so at the start of this podcast, I claimed the budget was $60 million. That was going off Wikipedia. If you do Alien vs. Predator budget, the first thing that pops up on Google is $70 million. Somebody here is a liar. I don't know who. The box
Who's
office
a liar?
Somebody here is wrong.
Who's fibbing?
Somebody tell me the truth.
You fibbing, Google?
I'll never tell. But yes, okay, so they had the same budget, but there was almost a 10-year gap between the two. So with inflation, yeah, Alien vs. Predator got short-shafted.
And is a heavier effects film than Alien Resurrection.
You know, I actually watched Resurrection in preparation for this podcast. Didn't help at all because I never had a chance to really dive into it. But man, no matter what, even if you don't like that movie, I think you have to respect the performance of Ron Perlman in that film.
I don't know that was
That
going
guy
to be
is
said.
having a wonderful time. And I still think the part where he jumps off a ladder, blows up an alien, then sees an alien and a spider cobweb and freaks out and blows that to pieces. One of my favorite moments in action movie history.
Alien Resurrection, like several Joss Whedon projects, was a situation where every single person was wrong.
Not Ron Perlman.
Everybody except Ron Perlman. Yes.
Ron Perlman's always right, even when he was a monkey man.
That was fun. Ron
What I
Perlman
love is, wait, which time am I talking about when he was a monkey man?
Oh,
when he was the lawgiver, or whenever he romanced Linda Hamilton in the sewer.
I thought you were talking Alien Resurrection. He pretends to be a monkey and then throws a knife at a guy at the start of the film.
Cody, whenever anyone is saying anything ever in the world, no matter where you are, no matter what you're talking about, they are never, ever, 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 I swear to fucking God, when I say this, never talking about Alien Resurrection. No one is. Even when the topic at hand is Alien Resurrection, they're not talking about that.
Never? Like ever? I don't think I believe that.
Can we just call cut there?
No, we're still on the mountain unit of the credits.
With a glorious score playing. Okay, thank God we're at La Bamba.
The Bomba. I don't remember that playing in the movie at all.
Neither do I.
I'm sure it was in the wacky lab scene at the beginning.
Yeah. Hey, there's a credit for Frankenstein.
Hey, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
It was a monster mash.
They heard you talking shit, Cameron.
We were so
like
close to ending the podcast at the right time on the right joke, and now we have this awkward hangover.
What I like, though, is technically that credit teased something else from us.
Oh, like our fans are on pins and needles right now, trying to guess our next thing that we'll do.
Also, by the way, should we have branded this a bop and a tragedy? I mean,
Jamie mentioned that earlier, and I felt dumb for not putting in my script notes, but damned if I was going to change them.
It's too late now. I'm not even going to put up the logo. It's just too late. It's done.
That's
Like I
the real
said,
tragedy.
This movie made money.
It's true.
And
Made
there's
a lot of money.
good parts of it. It's not a full-on tragedy. It's a head
It's
scratcher.
exactly what it wants to be, which in some ways is unfortunate because it could be more.
It's a
bop and a
and a-
conundrum.
Thank you. I was going to say a
Nice.
bop.
That's,
I don't get it. That works much better.
I'm not making that logo. Well, that's for you
No,
folks at home. That's a secret. That's what it's
That's too much work to do. So, anyways, folks, we've hit the end of Alien vs. Predator. I hope you've enjoyed this. Maybe even more than the actual movie, because if you enjoyed it less, then I feel bad. No refunds. But if you've enjoyed this podcast, you can find more of Box Office Pulp on our very own website, www.boxofficepulp.com. You can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, or Twitter, where we tweet occasionally. We're not always tweeting. Got day jobs.
We're followed by the lizard from the last drive-in.
Hey, Ernie. Anyways, folks, give us a like, give us a listen. We're around. Be our friend. We're okay people, kinda. Anyways, thank you for listening. That's a wrap. Get the hell out of here.
all cue in our thermonuclear detonators, laugh hilariously, and have Arnold Schwarzenegger nearly get away.
And there's your beans.
You get more out of life when you go out to a movie. Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater.
Okay, I just want to read aloud one of the only notes I wrote down for this. I love how White Vasquez is the only one who thinks to pack a fucking gun to the Antarctic underground space pyramid of mystery.
I was kind of on the side of Lex. Why the fuck are we taking guns to the Antarctic?
Polar bears?
Polar bears. I don't.
Ice
we have
spiders?
polar bears in the Antarctic. They're North Pole, aren't they?
Penguins?
These aren't at the Mountains of Madness penguins.
You know, polar bears are one of the deadliest animals in the animal kingdom.
Okay. I typed in polar bears Antarctic, and the first result Google returned was, can we save polar bears by moving them to Antarctic?
Not even just Antarctic.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Let me say it again. Can we save polar bears by moving them to Antarctica?
Oh, okay.
So you were the dumb one.
I was the dumb one. I will not fight that. I phrased that dumb.
Apologize to the internet.
Sorry, I have to keep reading polarbearsinternational.org. Although it sounds like an easy solution, the risk of relocating far outweighs the benefits. We should not take our polar bears and send them to the Antarctic.
I say send them to the North Pole.
We have them on the North Pole, don't we? That's where polar bears live.
So at this point, I'm turning the recorder off.
This is Box Office Pulp Guy, and this has been a Pulp Podcast production. Now please, 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 put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger and say goodnight.
And now, on with the show.